Hey Facebook, what's going on? So I posted on Facebook a little while ago that I was going to be doing a Facebook live stream, and so here it is. It is 8 p.m. Eastern time. Got a few different topics that I was thinking about, just kind of addressing here. So while I'm waiting for everybody to kind of join in here on the stream, I'm actually on the road right now. I am in Fairfax, Virginia, getting ready to do a tutorial project, which should be out hopefully within the next month or so. Should be pretty fun and exciting. So there's my awesome view. I don't know if I could switch the camera. Hold on, let's see. Yeah, so there's the awesome view from my hotel room. You can see I've got a Home Depot just in case. So I'm seeing on here, it says no sound. Comment below if you guys can hear me. Are you guys able to hear me? Yay or nay? All right, there we go. Cool. Yeah, so it's pretty fun. So I'm here traveling today. Tomorrow I'm going to be recording this video tutorial, so it should be a pretty fun time. But I wanted to take the opportunity to answer some questions because I get a lot of questions on Facebook and on social media in general. And it's kind of funny because I get oftentimes the same questions over and over and over again. And I think to myself, man, I need to make a video and just address everybody that might have these same questions. So I posted on Facebook, and I'm actually going to sit back down because if not, I'll be pacing all night. So I had a couple of ideas for some questions here. I have why you need haters, how to price your work, overcoming client objections, branding, tech talk, and networking. And I got a couple of miscellaneous questions too that I may end up addressing here. So this is going to be for you guys. So any questions that you guys have, ask them below, and I'll try to see if I can get around to them all. So I promised Ryan Nolan, I don't know if he's watching. If you are, say hi in the comment section below. But Ryan asked me a pretty good question the other day. And yeah, Jeff Rojas, Senor Rojas. I got no hair because I shaved it off. Doing all these videos with you is making me old before my time and all my hair is falling out. So it's your fault, sir. So Ryan Nolan asks, you see a Facebook profile image. The said individual is a skin specialist in a salon. We have common friends. How do I approach her about a headshot? She is currently using a blurry selfie about to increase her client base. So I thought this would be a pretty interesting question, and this kind of touches on just networking in general. If I happen to see somebody anywhere that I think could use my services, I don't really have a specific game plan for each person. It's really just a matter of just approaching them, talking to them, being a regular, normal, cool human being, and just starting dialogue and starting discussion, talking to them and asking them about what they do and what are their goals and how do they hope to impact people through their business. And as they're giving me this information, I'm taking this and I'm just like making little mental notes of how can I build a case to basically try to entice them into getting headshots done with me. So, for example, I'll walk up to them, and this happens all the time. I'll walk up to somebody at a networking event, and I go to a lot of tech networking events because usually the techie people, the IT people, they have horrible headshots, or they just have that little gray silhouette dude for their LinkedIn and stuff like that. So they need headshots. And so usually I'll walk up to them, I'll talk to them, I'll ask them what they do, tell me about, what you do, how long you've been doing it, blah, blah, blah. And then as they're telling me this stuff, oftentimes they'll tell me that, oh, I've been in business for a long time. And, oh, well, how do you get your clients? And the conversation just naturally goes out to these places where they say, well, I do this and I do that. And I say, wow, that's really interesting. And then it comes back to me like, oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm a headshot and portrait photographer. I work with a lot of people like yourself that are looking to get out there and put out a polished image out to the world. And so, you start talking about it naturally from there. And so that's really, for me, the way that I approach anybody in general. It could be any situation. It's literally just have a regular conversation with these people, a regular non-businessy, non-salesy type of conversation, and let them tell you what they do and try to see if maybe your services would be a fit for them. It could be that this lady that has a blurry selfie, maybe she thinks is the greatest picture in the world, which, I've seen it a million times. And then you don't want to go to somebody and try to convince them on what good and bad photography is. Those aren't the type of clients that I want. The clients that I want are the ones that they know the difference between a good headshot and a bad headshot and are willing to pay extra to have a really good headshot done. So, if they have a bad selfie and they tell me, oh, I got this great photo, take a look at my shot, I'm looking at them like, oh man, these people are crazy, and I'm not going to spend too much time marketing and telling them how it's so important for them to have a good headshot. If they think a blurry selfie is the way to the best face to put forward, I can't help you, and I'm not going to invest that much time. So hopefully that answers the question. So I'm going to scroll through here and take a look at some other questions. So I see 35 millimeter Zeiss versus 28 millimeter to use on my A7 II and A6300. This is asked by Brian Butler. I own the 35 millimeter 1.4, the 35 millimeter 2.8, and then the 28 millimeter f2. And to be honest with you, they're all fantastic. They're all great lenses, and they're all in kind of different price points. 28 f2 is like $500. The 35 2.8 is like $700 or $800, and I think the 35 1.4 is the most expensive. It's like $1,500. So really, what it's going to boil down to is what are you shooting and what's your budget. If your budget is high enough to afford a really fantastic lens, then you can't really go wrong getting the better lens. But at the same time, what I don't like to hear from people is when they say, oh, I can't take such and such a shot because all I have is this inexpensive lens. Listen, whatever lens you have, rock it, make it work. I've taken great images with a 28 f2, and I suspect that you could also take very, very good images with either of those two lenses. So try not to focus on it too much. Focus on finding good stuff, good things to photograph. So hopefully that answers that. Let's see. Johnny H. Lee, why is there no Indra 500? There is an Indra 500. What are you talking about? I have it here. Let's see. Dave, how's it going, Dave? Dave Doppel, the cool kids have no hair. This is very true. Jeff Rojas says lies. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Let's see. Did he just call himself cool? I don't remember doing that, but if I did, I wasn't lying. Let's see. Hi. Yes. Okay. Jason Lanier, what's happening? What a sexy beast. I know. Are you looking in the mirror again? Is that what's happening? Good to see you. Let's see. Who else is here? Question from Jeff Rojas. Here we go. This is going to be a good one. If there is a rooster on top of a barn, the roof of the barn is equally 45 degrees on both sides. The land is perfectly flat. There's no wind. If it were to lay an egg, what direction would... See more. Hold on. Let's see. Why can't I see your whole question here? Oh, what direction would it fall? All right, so that's actually a really good question. So if the roof of the barn is equally 45 degrees on both sides and the land is perfectly flat, it always falls to the right. That's always the answer. Everything always falls to the right. All right. Let's see. Brian, thanks, man. Hope to see you again. Yes, thank you. Definitely. I hope to see myself at Sony event or some other event very, very soon. Let's see. Brett Harris, love my 90 macro for portraits, even though the 85 GM would be fantastic. But in my budget, yeah, like I said, whatever lenses it is that you have, just make it work. You know, if I had to start everything over today, if I had to start this portrait business over again, and all I could afford was, you know, some off-brand, you know, lens of some type, I would make it work. You know, we're always trying to get better images and we want better gear, but don't fall into this thing that you have to have certain gear to make things happen. Just get creative. I had a cough too. Hold on. My voice has been killing me these last few days. Let's see. Art says, have you played with the 50mm FE Sony lens yet? Yes, I have. I got a chance to play with the 50 1.8 from Sony, as well as the 70-300. And the 50 for a very inexpensive lens is actually pretty good. I haven't done any direct comparisons with other 50s, but for $200 and some odd, it's a great value. The 70-300, I was actually really surprised with. I did a studio shoot that hopefully I'll post some images later, but the results were actually very good. So hopefully I'll do a few more shoots with it and I could give a more honest assessment. But right now, my feeling is that 70-300 is a really good lens. Let's see. Jeff, it's a rooster. They don't lay eggs. Not true. They lay them and they fall to the right. Let's see. Lissandro, like that. I'm not a super photographer, but for 3 years, just one lens for all my work, a 35-1.4. Again, that's awesome. That's what I like to hear. Don't let, you know, you have to get to the point to where you overcome challenges. You can't turn away business and turn away opportunities because you say, oh, I don't have this or I don't have that. Get creative. The whole reason why I'm here today doing all of this crazy stuff that I'm doing is because I got creative. And I did things with whatever little bit of resources that I had. I just made it happen. So I like to see when other people do that as well. All right, Evan Gutman. How's it going, Evan? How can I make millions being a photographer? So I don't know. I'll let you know when I get there. I'll let you know how I do it whenever I make my first millions. You know, it's funny. I follow a guy named Grant Cardone. And if you don't follow Grant Cardone, I posted a little video from him. But one of the things that he talks about quite often is that being a millionaire is now the new middle class here in America. It's not like a big deal like it used to be, you know, back in the early 80s to say, yeah, I'm a millionaire. You know, it doesn't really mean the same thing anymore. So I'm starting to notice that. I really, to me, I don't have that type of a dollar figure. I don't know that I want to be necessarily a millionaire. I want to do good enough to where I can help people and to where, you know, if, for example, I have a family member or a friend or somebody that's in need, I want to be able to help them, you know, and I want to be able to not only support my family financially, but also to be able to reach out and help other people that, you know, could also use that help. And so that's why I'm always motivated. And if it takes $1 million to do that, then that's what it's going to be. If it takes $1 billion, I don't know. We'll keep hustling. We'll make that happen. So let's see. Scrolling through here. Hey, my sister's in the room. Milagros, how are you? Love you. Thank you for watching. It's good to see you out there. Let's see. Outsource. Dave Doppel. Outsource versus do your own editing. That's actually a really good question. So when I first started, I actually did all of my own retouching, like 100% of it. And what I started to realize is that you're going to hit, as you work and you continue to get more and more jobs, you're going to start to realize that there's going to come a point to where your time is better invested continually working with new clients. So that might be now, it might be a year from now, it might be 10 years from now. But for me, everything that my retoucher does, I know how to do myself. And I think it's very important to do that, because when they give you an image and they tell you, oh, well, I couldn't do whatever it is, or it's going to cost you extra to have an image retouched a certain way, you need to be able to know what the process is to actually do that photo. So that way you could tell them, well, you could try this or try that or whatever the case might be. But nowadays it's actually like 50-50. I do some of my own retouching, and then I also outsource some of my retouching. The last couple of weeks I've been traveling a lot. So, retouching has been tough. If I'm out traveling, I don't have, all of my resources. I'll show you guys here my little portable laptop setup here. It's a Dell 13-inch screen. It's pretty nice, but definitely not like the editing station that I have at home. So outsource versus do your own editing, I say do both, depending on what your business is. Brett Harris, any news on the A9? No. I would love to hear some, though. Let's see. Lamar, have you ever used the A-mount version of the 70-300? I have not. Yeah, I haven't tried that. Haven't tried that one out yet. Shane says, gotta run, Miguel. See you later, Shane. Let's see. Lissandro, about your video earlier today, there's a difference in shoot a portrait with a macro lens or a normal lens regarding quality. So earlier today, if you guys didn't see, I posted Adorama posted a new episode of The Breakdown. And in the video, I talk about shooting portraits with a macro lens. So it's a very common question, because apparently people don't shoot portraits with macros, or it's not as common of a thing. I know I do workshops and I'll shoot a portrait with a macro and people are looking at me sideways like, what do you mean? You're not photographing a bug or a flower, or you're going to use it to photograph people? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to use it to take portraits. So here's my rule of thumb. And again, I don't ever tell a model this. Please, please don't go telling models what I'm about to tell you. So if I am working with a model and I see that they have very good skin, I'm talking about clean, clear, beautiful skin, then I will break out a macro, because that additional sharpness, and depending on how I light them, it's going to pull out a lot more texture and a lot more detail, and it's going to give that final image this look that you really can't get using some other lens. Now, that's a very small percentage of the people that that you're ever going to work with, or that you're ever going to come across. Most people are not going to have, perfect skin. So in those situations, that's when you pull out an 85 or a 70-200 or a 135 millimeter or something like that, because it's going to be a lot more. It's still sharp, but it's not so sharp that it's going to pick up all the wrinkles and details and stuff that's going to take 2 hours to retouch and post. I don't want to spend time in post because, again, you don't make your money as a photographer spending 4 hours. And I see this on social media a lot. Maybe some of you guys in this room do this, but I see a lot of photographers wear it almost like a badge of honor. Like, oh, I spent 5 hours in front of the computer retouching images from the other day. From a business perspective, that's not good, because those 5 hours that you spent locked down to a computer retouching, you could have spent marketing, you could have spent on other aspects of your business that could have yielded a return. Presumably, you've already been paid for your photography services, and you're finishing it off doing your retouching. So the more time that you spend in front of the computer retouching, the less time you have to go out there and post on social media to find new clients. So yeah, I know I probably went off on a little tangent there, but macro lens, the short answer, macro lens for great skin. For everybody else, use standard lens. Let's see, scrolling. Let's see. All right, so I cannot pronounce this name, so I really apologize. I'm going to try. So it's Yevgeny. Could be off. Best way to network. So I kind of consider networking to be a specialty of mine. And it's not because I'm necessarily like the best at it. It's because at some point I decided that I just don't care. And all of these like reservations and things that hold people back from doing things that are not comfortable, I don't have those anymore. Just over time, I've just done different things to basically weed out that type of fear and everything else. So best way to network for me, it's like anything else in life. You know, find the people that you want to do business with. Find out, what are the age ranges? Where do these people go? Networking can be a very complex topic because networking could be how you find the people, how you find the client, how do you find these prospective clients, or it could even be how do I network, how do I talk to another human being about the things that I do and what I can offer them. So networking is kind of a very broad subject. So the best way to network, because I'm sure there's probably going to be some more questions on this topic, but to answer that question in a very short sentence, the best way to do it is just to do it. You know, there's an old saying that I always used to laugh, but ain't nothing to it but to do it. So, don't overthink it. Your first few interactions when you're networking with somebody might be very awkward. It might be very ineffective, but what I've learned with networking is that the more that you do it and the more that you get out there and the more that you, try to get out there and communicate with people, the better you're going to get. It took me several years to be able to get to the point to where I could just go out in any situation and talk to somebody. Sorry. To go out there and to talk to people and to let them know what I do. So it didn't happen like that from day one. So you have to practice. You have to get good at, approaching people that you don't know and just dissecting the conversation and steering it in a way that is to your advantage. So I'll talk about that probably a little bit more as we kind of go on here. But let's see. Melissa Royer, be blessed so you can be a blessing. Amen to that. So true. Brian Dockett, hey, I'm a millionaire, and that was a lie. Oh man, Brian, you're a trip. Easton, good stuff, brother. Thank you. Good to see you. Let's see, Gabriel. Okay, this starting to look like a bad Chinese movie. Lips are moving 2 minutes after the sound comes in. Is that the case? Is my voice matching my mouth, or is it like a bad Chinese movie? Do I need to start doing kung fu? Okay. Anyway, sorry if it's slow. I'm in the hotel and the Wi-Fi might be slow. Let's see. Hey, what's up, homie? Lemuel. How do you approach your portrait pricing? How do you price your time? This is a good question. So I just want to preface this answer first by saying that the way that I go about pricing things is not necessarily the way that you can go about pricing things. There's not a one size fits all. And I know when I first started as a photographer, the way that I came up with my pricing was I looked to see what the quality was of portraits that were being offered in my local market. Who were my competitors? Were they big companies? Were they like the Sears Portrait Studios of the world? Or was there individuals that had studios? Who are these people that are basically offering portrait services in my local market? I would look to see via their websites. I would do research and do kind of like a market analysis to see, based off of the quality of work that they're putting out there, how much are they selling their stuff for? Do they price their time and then sell the images separately? Do they just charge a flat rate just to work with them and then you get all the files? You're going to find a lot of variances depending on the areas that you live in. For me, the easiest thing in the very beginning when I started was to charge basically a sitting fee and to charge per image. So when they booked me, they actually were not getting any images at all. They would book me a flat rate, and from there we would shoot, And if they liked one image, they bought one image. If they bought, if they liked 10 images, they'd buy 10. For me, that worked out great in the very beginning because my sitting fee was such that I was happy that they just booked me for that. And if they bought images on top of that, which they always do, but if they bought images, it was just icing on the cake. So, it's also going to depend, like we're talking about portraits right now. If you shoot weddings, it's going to be a different thing. If you if you do family portraits or baby portraits or things like that, it's always going to be different. But for me, I think it's important to find out what other people are offering in your local market. Because for me in New Jersey, I could charge a whole heck of a lot more than what I would charge when I lived in Orlando, Florida. The market is totally different. What I thought was expensive in Orlando, Florida is so inexpensive in New Jersey and in New York that some people won't even take you seriously. They would think you're a joke photographer charging what you charge if you don't charge enough. So hopefully that answers the So I responded to the A9 camera. You know something. The face says it all. No, I just like to... There it goes. Yeah, I have no idea about anything like that. And yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm happy with what I have right now. There's a lot of people that are very, and maybe some of those people are here in this room, by the way, Lafayette. There's a lot of photographers out there that are very, they always are looking towards the next camera. And new cameras are very exciting. However, there's not going to be any camera that's ever released now or in the future that is going to make my photography that much better. It's he was an amazing photographer. If you don't follow him, check out his work. And I always remember him saying, like, it's not the arrow, it's the Indian. And so I agree with that 100%. If they came out with a 53 million that was a gajillion megapixels, that's all good and everything. That's great. And if I could afford it, through my business, then great. I'll own it and I'll buy it. But a lot of people get hung up because they'll say, oh, well, there's this new camera, so I can't buy anything. Listen, buy the best camera that you can afford right now and just make it work. And if a new camera comes out a year from now, 2 years from now, as long as that camera keeps on ticking and it keeps on making you money, keep on rocking it and keep on shooting it. Don't be that person like some people that I know that, they always have to have something and they're always pumping out mediocre work. That's a heartbreaker for me to see somebody go into debt, continually buying new cameras, selling their cameras that they own at a loss so they can buy the latest and greatest, and then they're still producing the same subpar quality work. So only spend your money on gear out of the excess out of what you're making in photography. So, for me, I'm never going in debt. Everything that I have, I own. I don't have things that I charge, or if I do, I pay them off right away. So you don't want to get to that point to where you're carrying tens of thousands of dollars in debt in photography gear. So yeah, let's see. Caitlin, what's up? She says, oh no, I came at the wrong time. Don't tell this to models. No, but that's not you, Caitlin. You have fantastic skin, which is why I shot your portraits with the 90 millimeter 2.8 macro. So you're not part of this this issue. So let's see. Victor, what's up, dude? Nothing much. Just hanging out in my hotel room talking to you guys out there. Let's see. Jose Angel, what's up, Miguel? What's happening? Let's see. Amy, what do you think about using art lenses? What should they be used for? So are you talking about the Sigma art lenses? If so, I've used Sigma art lenses in the past. I think I've only ever used the 50 and the 35 back when I shot Canon back in the day. And again, they were good lenses. They're fine. They do the job. Most lenses that are created in these current modern times, they're mostly pretty good. So it's really going to be a matter of your budget, what you can afford. And so if you could afford a really fantastic lens, then great, go for it. I saw a lot of conversation back at the time when I shot Canon. They were like, oh, it's better than the L series equivalents. I would not go that far. That's a little bit of a stretch. Again, it's all personal taste, but for me, I had the lenses for a couple of months and I ended up going all L series glass at the time, and then eventually ended up switching over to shooting Tamron glass. So it's fine. You know, it gets the job done. So let's see. Jamil, how's it going, Jamil? How would you define your brand? That's a really, really involved question. So I think that's probably going to be a topic. Like I could do a whole video just on my own personal brand. We'll discuss that in a later video because that's too long of a, let's see, I'm 30 minutes in. It's too long of a topic. Well, I'll take another 30 minutes just talking about that. But good question. Byron, what's happening? Watermarks versus none. So I'm going to say none. If you've looked at my images over the past, I don't know, maybe the past 2 years, you're going to notice that every image that I post online, there's no watermark. Back in the day when I first started, all of my images were all with watermarks. So, you know, honestly, for me, I don't see the purpose in watermarking, because if you post an image and I really wanted to steal it and I really wanted to take it and claim it was my own, it would take me 2 seconds in Photoshop to clone your watermark out and put my own on there and be like, yeah, it's my shot. So watermarks for me are just kind of, it doesn't make any sense. You know, it's kind of a waste of time, and it takes away from the image. I don't care how beautiful your watermark is. You know, personally, I think my business logo looks really good. You know, I created it and I like it. Like, I think it's a really clean thing, and it kind of goes to this topic about my brand because it's such a multifaceted thing. But my logo was very carefully crafted and thought through, and it was something that I wanted to make sure that it reflected the brand that I wanted to put out there. And even with my logo, I still don't like putting it on my images. So yeah, no watermarks. Let's see. Evan, nope, your lips are perfect, baby. Thank you. There we go. Let's see. Sorry, I couldn't resist. I know it happens. So everybody's talking about the syncing. Let's see. Are you missing a bunch of hair? Bob Wagner. Bob, how's it going? Long time no see. Yes, I am missing a bunch of hair. I am, since my Comp USA days, I've lost quite a bit of hair. But you know what? I will say I am a good-looking bald man. Not everybody has the shape of head to pull off the bald look. So I'm going to keep telling myself that. It's just the way it's got to be. Brittany, what's happening? Brittany Hahn. That is so true about pricing. If you don't charge enough, people don't take you seriously. Mind equals blown. Good advice. Thank you. It is beyond true. You know, I've even had situations when I've gone to buy things that I'll go into a store, and if it's priced really, really inexpensive, especially compared to what my expectations are of what it should cost, if it's significantly lower, my automatic assumption is that it's crap, or that it's fake, or that it's a bootleg or something like that. So pricing can be a very important part of your branding. And so if you, for example, I wanted to create a brand that when you saw it, you didn't think mini session photographer. I didn't want anybody to look at my brand, my images, my logos, my websites and say, this is a photographer that I can hire for $30, 10-minute mini session or whatever, however long mini sessions are. I wanted somebody to think when they saw the different aspects of my brand that this guy is expensive and he does really clean, really good work. And he's somebody that right out of the gate, I'm not going to waste my time asking for free work or something like that, because clearly he is not a freebie photographer. So that's how I, kind of established my brand. And, again, for me, because I had a multifaceted plan, and Brittany knows this because Brittany and I have had conversations from way back in the day. Everything is planned through. And so you have to be that way. So let's see. Joel says, at what point did you decide to go full-time as a photographer? I'm struggling with taking the risk and would like your take on converting a photography business to a full-time career. So some of you guys might be surprised. Some of you may not if you know me and my background and my story. But I actually started full-time photography in 2012. I was working in corporate America, working for a large cell phone carrier at the time. And I just decided that I didn't want to work for the man anymore. I've kind of built up I almost think of myself like Liam Neeson from Taken, and I say this kind of often jokingly, but somewhat serious, to say that I have a particular set of skills. And those particular skills that I have are very rare to find in one person. Usually it's like 3 or 4 different people that each have their specialty. And I have been very fortunate that I've had a lot of experience in business to where I can see and do things that multiple people have to do, but I'm doing it all by myself. So 2012, I decided, you know what, I want to do this full time. And when I started in 2012, you can actually look on my Facebook. If you guys are all seeing this right now, you're friends with me on Facebook, go through my photos and scroll all the way back to like 2011, 2012. You're going to see some of my earliest photos that are horrible, but I leave them up there. A lot of photographers would just like delete them from Facebook immediately. But I want to show people like this is where I started. Not everybody, went to college and were amazing photographers from day one. I had to figure it out, and I had to hustle really, really hard. And so, the first year was just me trying to figure out my settings and figure out how to work with people and figure out how to be consistent. Because I would tell you that you could be a full-time photographer today, and I would tell this to anybody out there. If you have a certain level of consistency to your work, you can start charging for your work today. I feel like that is the one thing that is the difference between an amateur photographer and a professional photographer, is that the amateur might take one really good image and somebody hires them and then they can never recreate that image. For me, the mark of a true professional is if I post an image, any image that you see on my social media, and you say, oh, wow, I really love that picture. I would love to be in a picture like that. You can hire me and I can give you that same level of consistency day in and day out. And so now here's the thing. A lot of people believe that you have to be giving, let's say on a scale A, B, C, D, and F, right? In terms of skill and technique. A lot of people think that for you to go pro, you need to be giving like B and A level caliber of imagery. And that's simply not true. I know a lot of really good photographers. And when I say really good, let me take that back. A lot of really good business people that are photographers that, they're like C and D level of quality of work, but yet they make a crap ton of money and they're consistently busy. And you know what? That's what it's about. It's that if somebody hires them, they know that they can get that same consistent level of imagery no matter what. So, being a photographer full time is definitely a risk, and it's something that you have to prepare for. How good are you at marketing? How comfortable are you with your products and your services and your offerings? That's a question basically that you have to answer for yourself, and you have to prepare as much as humanly possible. And when you decide to basically jump on that train and say, I'm going to be a full-time photographer, you have to attack it relentlessly every single day. You're going to work and you're going to bust your butt more than you've ever done for probably anything in your life. And you're going to feel exhausted. There's going to be days where you're like, man, am I wasting my time? I had, when I first started, months would go by and I'm like, crap, I haven't had a paid shoot in forever. Like maybe I'm going to have to go get another job somewhere. And a lot of people will just retreat back into their caves and just sit around and eat themselves to death or something. You got to get out there and you got to work and you got to hustle. And above and beyond everything, the hustle has been the thing that has marked my success as a full-time photographer. So Hope that answers the question. Let's see. Hector Perez, what do you recommend for a Nikon DX D100? Practice. Product-wise, I don't know. I've never actually... I'm not going to say I've never shot Nikon. I've shot Nikon film cameras back in the day. I'm not familiar with that camera body, but it depends. Figure out what you like to shoot. If you like to shoot, outdoor stuff and portraits, a 24-70 is always a good place to start. Let's see. Mike Sharky James. If you're not watching, by the way, the Petapixel Photography Podcast with Mike Sharky James, you need to make sure that you're watching that. So after you're done with this Facebook feed, go to Petapixel. He has, I don't know, are you at 100 already? 100 podcast episodes? Like, listen to it. It's an amazing show. Very good friend. And he says, I want an A53 million. I would take one if it was offered. Yes. Hector Perez, D71 crop lenses. Again, anything that fits within the... anything that fits within the range of focal lengths that you like to shoot. So if you want to shoot landscapes, then you need to have a wide lens. If you want to shoot portraits, have something mid-range to longer on the telephoto end. So just depends. Let's see. Keep scrolling here. Amy says, my feed is paused. That was probably earlier. Tracy Lee, what's happening? Good to see you. We need to go get tacos next time that I am in Las Vegas. Let's see. Mike, there's no $150 Miguel Quiles shoot and burn, baby. Yes, indeed. That does not exist. Michael Gomez, how's it going? Let's see. Quentin says, you give me hope, bro. I hope so. I really honestly hope so. Above and beyond anything, I want to encourage and motivate and empower people to be realistic, but at the same time know that your success is in your hands. There's nobody that can tell you. I've had so many people, maybe even some people that are watching this Facebook live stream right now that have told me, Miguel, you can't do this. Miguel, you're not going to be good. Miguel, you suck, whatever. You're worthless. They've said all kinds of crazy things. And guess what? At the end of the day, I'm still here and I'm still ticking and I'm still doing what I love. And, that's why I actually started this saying, do you want to talk about why haters are important? Because a lot of people are very, especially creatives, are very sensitive to haters. They're like, oh, I don't like that people don't like me. I want everybody to love me. And you know what? I embrace the haters, man. It honestly, like, if anybody's out there telling you that you cannot do this, screw them. Show them that you can do this and show yourself that you can do it. And there's no better feeling in the world than when somebody tells you you can't do something and you do it. It's a beautiful thing. Absolutely beautiful. There's been people that told me that I couldn't do what I'm doing right now. Working with some of the companies that I'm working with now, having the stages and the platforms that I've had in a very short period of time. A lot of people told me, like, don't quit your day job. And all that did for me was to give me motivation and put this fire in my belly that I can do this and I'm going to prove you wrong. And maybe I haven't done it yet, but I will continue to work towards that. And even when I have technically done it, I'm still going to keep working and I'm still going to keep going forward. So I'm glad. Let's see. Mike James, at very least, you should be consistently making as much or more with your photography before you make the jump. Absolutely. Eric Morales, just trolling for a bit. You troll you. Amy says, what's your opinion on models asking for TF shoots versus photographers asking models TF shoot? Is there a difference? That's a good question, Amy. We never got a chance to work together in Orlando, by the way. But TF shoots for me are kind of an interesting topic because I feel like people in general, models are approaching it the wrong way. Photographers are approaching it the wrong way. Everybody is looking at it in a very standoffish type of fashion. So for me, when it comes to working with models on a trade basis, it's changed based on my where I am in my photography career. So in the very beginning, I used to do trade work with models, and I had to build my portfolio, and so I wasn't as picky when it comes to doing trade work with models. Nowadays, I spend a lot of time traveling. I spend, a lot of time just working. And so when a model approaches me to ask me, hey, do you do trade work? I still do trade work. There's a lot of photographers now. I don't know, you might be watching this right now like, oh my gosh, Miguel's doing trade work, and that's crazy. I do trade work. And the way that I approach it is from a business perspective. If, for example, the model has a very huge social media following, a very active social media following, then that would be a situation where I might want to consider doing trade work. If they have a certain look that I feel like if I added that to my portfolio and I started to market that I can find new clients and new business, then I'll do trade work. From the model's perspective, when they're basically approaching photographers, you have to understand that not every photographer likes to do trade work. Some people don't have any value in it, and it could be that they don't do it because they don't know what to do with it. They don't know, okay, so I did this trade shoot, and they think about it like I just did this free shoot, and there's a lot of value on both ends of the spectrum. I'm not going to tell you that, it's all on the photographer's side. No, it's on the model side too. Models have to eat right. They have to take care of themselves. They have gym memberships and spas and hair and all this kind of stuff. It's important and expensive for them to take care of themselves to where you want to photograph them. So I would never take away that from a model. But at the same time, you have to be realistic on both ends. You have to be realistic from the model's perspective to say, are you doing this for fun? Are you doing this for a career? If you're doing this for a career, find the photographers that are also doing it for a career and collaborate with them. If you are just doing it for fun and it's just like a fun thing and you just like to be photographed, you'll find photographers that'll happily photograph you, but you'll also find that the really good photographers, they're busy doing stuff, and they, time is money. Like nowadays for me, I do trade work, but I do trade work with a purpose. And all of that trade work at some point is going to turn around and become something that I can make money on, whether it's finding a new client that might fit the style that I plan on shooting with them, or even from my educational standpoint. If I photograph somebody and all of a sudden it leads to this brand new type of tutorial series, hey, great, let's shoot some trade work. So you just have to figure out how to be able to use it to your advantage, how to basically find people that see the value in doing that, and just kind of going from there. So that's a really good question. Steven, A9 rumor articles, discuss. I don't have much to say. I don't know anything about it. But I'm also going to say this. So when it comes to new products, for the most part, companies make you sign NDA agreements. And so even if you did know something, you can't really say. You'll get your hands smacked. But in all honesty, and I'm looking at the camera straight up, I'm not lying, I don't know anything about no A9. I just don't. Let's see. Steven says, weather sealing dual card slots. That's what I'm reading. That'll be pretty cool if it exists, but I haven't heard anything. Andrew, hi Miguel. How and when did your work start to get recognized since you started going full-time in 2012? Or has your work been recognized prior to going full-time? That's a really good question. So how it started to get recognized was basically putting it out there consistently. Again, putting out that same caliber and quality of work. And at the time, I would have said it was like C-level work in the beginning, but it was consistent C-level. And so I would put that work out and put that work out. And as time went on, it got better and better. And it started to get recognized more, and it started to get shared. And I didn't focus so much on other photographers liking my work. And I think that's another thing that a lot of people fall into this trap that they worry about other photographers' opinion of their work and not worrying about what the world thinks about their work. And so, for me, I've always been focused on what people, the public, thinks about my work. Not so much about photographers, because we love and hate everything, So, it being recognized, I'll be honest with you, I got to be careful how I say this, but I've had jobs that I've been booked for that people haven't even seen my work. They've just talked to me and we've discussed things, and they've booked me purely because they believe that I'm capable of doing whatever it is that I say I do. So not everybody is like that. Like, my road and my journey is very, very different. Yours can be like that too, but it just depends on what type of photographer you are. So let's see. Mike James says 71 episodes as of later tonight. Awesome. Congratulations. I got to listen to that one. David Reddick. Mr. Reddick, I'm a fan. Hope one day I could be like you, even if I have to sell some plasma. Oh, man. David Reddick. So earlier I was talking about, I don't know if you were in the room, but I was talking about how we used to, I worked at Sprint, and David Reddick was my partner in crime at Sprint. We actually used to do a TV show, which was an internal company thing that used to be called, what was the name of our show? Dang, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank. But we had a show that basically was for company employees, where I would tell them about the new phones and how to sell them. And so I've been doing this type of stuff for a while. So, and David was one of my partners in crime. He kind of got me involved. And he's talking about selling plasma. I remember we were in working at Sprint, and he wanted to buy something, and I was like, dude, I think you can go to like one of these places and sell plasma, and you'll have some money, and you can go ahead and buy whatever you want. And so he started calling to see how much he could get for selling plasma to try to buy some lenses or something like that. So yeah, crazy. Oh, Bizzo Insider, that's what it was called. Thank you. Yeah, it was called Bizzo Insider, and I used to do a show very similar to like Adorama TV, and it was just for internal employees. It was a lot of fun, and that's how I kind of got into this whole thing. But good to see you, David. Let's see. Mike James, Miguel and I are proof that ignoring the haters works. Yes, very true. Very, very true. Let's see. Carlos says, I'd like a critique. Picsbylos.com. I will look into that. I can't do it right now because I'm on my phone. Sebastian, live the dream, brother. Thank you. I will try my best. Moshe, shout out to my boy. Listen, man, I'm like in Washington, D.C. right now. And I'm thinking, you know who else is in Washington, D.C.? Moshe is in Washington, D.C. I should go see him. Then what happens? I go on social media and I see your behind is in L.A. this week when I'm here. That's messed up, man. That's really messed up. We got to catch up soon, though. Let's see. Carlos, I want to be like you when I grow up. No, you don't. Let's see. Mike, I was told that podcasting was pointless. Then Petapixel wanted to team up. You've got to go with your gut. Believe in yourself, but be realistic, of course. It has to make sense from a dollar standpoint. Agreed. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. Brett, love doing trade work. Gives me more business, or gives me for business and a chance to evolve my photography. Absolutely. That is how you learn, is by doing trade work. Do not practice your lighting setups and all this kind of stuff with paid clients. Carlos, I do trade work to use as practice on new techniques. Yes, indeed. Let's see. Daniel, who would love to photograph that you haven't yet? Wow, there's a lot of people I haven't photographed that I would love to. To be honest with you, I have some ideas for doing that. They're not the celebrities and the people that are out there. There's a lot of really interesting people that I see just in my day-to-day life that I would love to photograph. So, I don't know. I mean, there are people that I don't know their names yet. I'll know them once I actually get the chance to meet them. Yeah, I guess. So let's see. Charlie Brown, booking off personality. Love it. Thank you. Yes. Bernard Griffin, what is your favorite off-camera light, and what you prefer softbox on location? So for the longest time, and when it comes to lighting, I'm going to tell you this, use whatever light works for you. All right. I'm not going to be one of these photographers that's going to tell you that you have to buy and you have to use this specific product from this specific company. I'm purely giving you my opinions on what I like to use. For me, I've been using the Photox Indra 500 for about 1.5 years now, and it works for me, and I love it. And as far as modifiers go, if I could only have one modifier, whether it's in the studio or outdoors, it would be a 5-foot Octa. You could do beautiful things with an Octa. So, Amber, what's happening? Amber says, gear and flash related question. Filmmaker dabbling in photography for fun. What type of flash should we look for? I've used a lot of different flashes, so it depends on what you're going for. If you want like studio lighting, depending on your budget, I would tell you as a Sony shooter, you're probably going to want to go with the Photox Indra because it's very powerful, very light, and pretty soon, because you guys actually stuck around, I'm going to show you guys something. All right, you guys get a little, for you Sony shooters out there, I'm going to show you guys a little sneak peek of something because I like to tease gear. So since you guys stuck around for a few minutes, check out what I have in my hand. You guys see that? Let me flip it around to the side here. You see what that says right there? So guess what? This is a real thing. It's going to be coming out very soon. I've been using a pre-production version for a couple of months now. And now I have the real deal, real thing in my hands here. So you'll be seeing a video on that very soon. But I would tell you that that's going to be the way to go. Now I'm going to move into this room because I'm at 5% on my battery here. So we're going to have a change of scenery here for a second. All right, so hopefully that answers. If not, you could use strobes as well, or not strobes, but flashes as well. I tend to not really use flash, like on-camera flash very much, just because for my style of portraits, it just doesn't really work as well. So, you know, but you could definitely try those out too. Lafayette, what's going on? Lafayette Brito, Mr. Gas himself. Have you talked about Lafa's gas? No, I haven't, but dude, you got a lot of gas. This guy is the only guy that I know that goes from one camera brand to another, to another, to another. And if I'm not mistaken, you had some pretty awesome stuff back in the day. You have like an awesome camera, awesome lenses. Somehow you've traded so much over this last couple of years that now you just have like a D800. And now he's trying to jump over to Sony. And I work, you know, I shoot Sony. And I'm still telling you, like, dude, just stick with what you got because you got bad gas, dude. Like, just stick with what you got. You're the only person I would say that to. Love you, by the way. So, Bernard, you in Washington, D.C.? Yes, I'm actually in Virginia, and I'll be in Washington, D.C. tomorrow. Let's see. Victor, dude, what was the gift from Adorama? Secret. You'll find out soon. Bernard, how long are you going to be in Washington, D.C.? I actually leave on Saturday. I'm working all day tomorrow, and then Saturday morning I take the train back to New Jersey. Let's see. Garrett, didn't see the model on that pre-production unit. What was it again? That was the Photox Odin 2. And that should be out very, very soon. Obviously, I have the box in my hand, so it could very well be that it's going to be out in days, weeks, I don't know. But it should be out very, very soon. It's the Photox Odin 2. And the cool thing about that one is it's native for the Sony A7 bodies in the A6000s, A6300s, all that stuff. And then you get high-speed sync and TTL using the flashes. So yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I've been using it now for a little while and very, very much enjoying it. So for those of you out there that are shooting with the Sony system, no doubt about it, this has got to be on your list of things you got to buy. So let's see. You rock. Thank you. No, you rock. Love your video work. Andrew, I just got the Odin 1. It happens. I got the Odin 1 as well. And it works. You know, if you use the Mitros Plus flashes, it works with some adapters. But this Odin 2 is bad. It's bad. Got to get it. Joel, high-speed sync recommendations for Sony for speed lights and strobes. You might have missed it, but the Odin 2 from Photix is going to be coming out anytime now. I don't know when. I'll get you guys an exact date. I'm doing a video review very, very soon, but it should be out very soon. Hector Perez, what do you recommend for backdrops? So for backdrops, I kind of have been using the same two backdrops for two brands of backdrops for a while. I use Savage collapsible backdrops for a lot of my shooting. Probably, I don't know, 65–70% of my work. I shoot a lot with their collapsible backdrops just because they're very convenient. They're very quick and easy to open up and switch a background very quickly. I use their seamless paper as well, but if you are in between shots, and let's say you have a white seamless paper up, and you say, oh, well, I want to do black, you got to roll up that white paper, bring down the white, put the black paper up. If I'm using a collapsible, I open it up, it's black on one side, white on the other, I just flip it around and keep shooting. So for me, that's it. Like, that's awesome. I could have like 5 of these backdrops open, put them up against the wall. That's 10 different backgrounds. I can shoot and in 2 seconds take the backdrop down, flip it, put it back up, and have a brand new background. Like, I love it. Absolutely love it. So yeah, Savage is the one. And then the second one, I own a couple of backdrops from Gravity Backdrops. They make awesome, awesome backdrops. Very affordable as well, considering that they're custom. So definitely check them out. Gravity Backdrops and Savage are my two, kind of like my go-to picks. Let's see, Andrew, I'll look into it. Hey, Pratik, what's your upcoming travel schedule? Yeah, so travel schedule is kind of a funny thing because if you would have asked me this question like 3 weeks ago, I would have been like, nah, I'm going to be home in New Jersey. Then fast forward a little bit. A week ago, I was in Mexico. Today, I'm in I'm in Virginia. Going to do some work in DC. I don't think that I have any specific travel plans outside of New Jersey and New York. But then again, that can change at the drop of a hat. So hopefully, Jeff Rojas and I have been talking about going around and doing some workshops together. I know personally for me, I would like to get out to Orlando because I would love to be able to do a workshop out in Orlando. I would like to get down to Texas, mainly because my sister lives there. So that makes it for an easy, workshop to work out, to just go to Texas, hang out with my family, and then also host a workshop there. Which, by the way, if I do, are you still in Texas, by the way? Because if you are, we could do a 2-day workshop, and I could do shooting, and you could do retouching, and you could just blow it out of the water. If you don't follow his work, by the way, you need to go and check him out. Dude is a beast of a retoucher. So the locations that I have planned would be Orlando, Texas, and either California or Washington. Like, I want to do kind of like East Coast, Middle America, and then West Coast. And then from there, I'd like to start going out and maybe do something in Europe for the first time. I just got my passport, so I hope to find some really cool places to go to very soon. Good to see you. So we'll always have Paris. Michael Gomez, yes, Paris in Las Vegas is not as good, but it was pretty cool. It's freezing cold up there, by the way. Joel, thank you, brother. No, thank you. Brett Harris got the Photix Odin 1, didn't like it. Godox Wistro 8360, new triggers for Sony coming out. I'll be happy. Yeah, like I said, I mean, the Odin 1 for me, it was fine. It did the job. I actually ended up using the Photix Airs triggers, and I enjoyed those a lot more. So I bought the Odin 1. I used it for a little bit, and then I don't do a lot of high-speed sync stuff anyway, so I just switched over to the Airs. They were like, I think $50 for the pair, and they work great, super consistent. Hector, do you have any upcoming workshops in New Jersey? I do, and I will post details very, very soon. I'm working that out right now. Pratig, yes, sir, Houston. You're still in Houston. My sister is in Kingwood. So I think that's only like, I don't know, 20 minutes away from downtown Houston. So yeah, definitely. Next time I'm in town, we definitely need to link up. Yes, Mike James. You can find his work at solsticeretouch.com. Honestly, if you're a photographer and you haven't checked out this man's work, where are you living? You must be under a rock. Michael Gomez, do you prefer the 90 millimeter macro or 85 Batis for your portrait studio work? I prefer both. I mean, why is it just got to be one? No, and I kind of talked about this a little bit earlier. The short answer, because you can rewatch this video, by the way. The short answer is if the person has really, really good skin, the 90 millimeter macro is my pick. That's like a very small percentage of the population. So for everybody else, I'd prefer a 85 or a 135 or a 70 to 200 to shoot portraits. Let's see. Bernard Griffin, what photographer you look up to? There's a lot of photographers I look up to, and a lot of photographers that I look up to for different reasons. It's not always for the work. It could always be for their business acumen. It could be for their marketing. It could be for their for various reasons. So for me, I'm a very, very big fan. My mentor, who I consider him a mentor, his name is Gavin O'Neill. He's in New York. Amazing freaking beast photographer. Definitely one of the photographers that I look up to. And it's actually kind of funny because I've assisted him on different shoots. I doubt he's watching this right now, but I've assisted him on different shoots. And, you know, I'm a guy that if you go and you see my studio and you see my stuff, I have so much gear. I have probably like 15 different strobes that I've purchased over the years. I have gear coming out of my ears, right? And I would imagine that a photographer of his level also has like gear coming out of his ears, and that he's always, because he's a very technical guy. And every single time that I help him out doing shoots, I'm always sickened by the fact of how amazing his photos look. And he's like, okay, so he's using like a Canon 5D Mark III and an 85 1.8. Like, it's mind-boggling to me, because when I had my system, I had to have the best of the best. And he's a photographer that he's doing stuff for, you know, all these like big brands, and he's in magazines and all this kind of stuff. And granted, he does shoot medium format as well, but a lot of his stuff he shoots with regular DSLR with, you know, inexpensive lenses. So I look up to him for that. I look up to him for his business sense as well. Joey Wright in Florida, he was one of my earliest mentors in photography. Look up to him. He's an amazing, amazing photographer. And there's a lot of other people as well. You know, my boy Jeff Rojas, you know, I look up to him. You know, he's kind of like me. You know, we're both very methodical and very business-minded about things. And so it's always good to be able to, you know, like iron sharpens iron. So, you know, Jeff is a good dude, so I look up to him as well. He's a good friend as well. So there's a lot of other people. Maybe I'll think of some more later. Hannah, is there an ETA on the new Sony triggers? Love your work. Thank you. On the Sony triggers from Photix or the actual Sony triggers? Because if we were talking about the Sony triggers that they announced at WPPI, I was shocked like everybody else. I didn't even know that they were doing that. I haven't heard anything about it since then, so I don't know when those are coming out. The Photix Odin 2 should be out very shortly. Like I said, I have the retail actual package box that I'll be unboxing and doing a review. I see on the message here it says actual Sony triggers. I'm not sure yet. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on that one. Let's see. Aurelio, hey, I'm here. Hey, what's happening? I'm here too. Good to see you. Thanks for making it. Manuel, 90 macro over the Tamron. Again, it just comes down to budget. You know, I actually have two 90 millimeter macro lenses from Tamron, and I have the G lens, the G series lens from Sony, and I actually even still have my 100mm macro from Canon that I don't really use. If anybody wants to buy that, by the way, let me know. I'll sell it to you right now. But yeah, I mean, it just depends on your budget. I mean, if you're looking at a Sony lens, the Sony 90mm lens is $1,100. The Tamron version is like $700. For my own business, I can make either of them work. So it's going to be a matter of, what do you prefer? Do you want to shoot with a lens with an adapter that maybe will cost a little bit less? Then you have the Tamron as an option. If you want a native lens that is the sharpest macro lens that's ever been made, according to various websites, then you need to go with the Sony. So it just depends. I can use either one. So Lafayette, here's a serious question. What is your take on a retouching company? Would you hire out, or are you like me and feel like once you send it to a professional retoucher, that work is not 100% yours anymore? I talked about this earlier, actually. My take is that I'm a photographer and I'm not a retoucher. So if you want a retoucher, Solstice Retouch, send your work to him. I'm sure he will be happy to price you out and do what he does best. For me, I'm a photographer. I make money when I'm shooting, not when I'm sitting in front of a computer for hours and hours retouching. I know how to do it, but I also don't, and I enjoy doing it. It's fun, but that image is still 100% mine. The retoucher is carrying out my vision for the image. And so at the end of the day, they're not doing their own thing. And then I'm like, oh, well, it's not really my shot. No, that's my shot. I took it. It's through my direction and my guidance that they're doing the retouching. So still my image. They were part of the creative process. Just like if I was to follow that logic, for example, the hair and makeup artist that worked on it, like it's just as much their work as it is mine to some extent, So I would say focus on being a photographer. Know a little bit about retouching, but if you're spending hours and hours and hours in front of a computer retouching and you're trying to make it as a full-time photographer, you're going to fail. You cannot spend all of your time retouching. You need to do the things that are going to make you money. Mike James, there's a lot of tall photographers to look up to. Yes, there are. It's very true. Byron Lafayette, he answered that earlier. Yes, he did. He said, depending on the workload. Bernard Griffin, what are your party plans while you're in DC? I'm not a big party guy. I'm very, very business minded. Like I come in, I give it 100% when it comes to my work. And then by the time I'm done, I'm exhausted. I don't know if you guys can even hear this on the live stream, but my voice is like shot. So, yeah, it's pretty bad. But, yeah, no partying for me. I'm going to go home, relax, enjoy the rest of the weekend, try to recover. I've had this bad cough for a few days. So, yeah, Hannah says the actual Sony triggers, talked about that. Miguel Diaz, where are based? I'm based out of New Jersey, but I work out of New York. And today I'm in Virginia doing work in Washington, D.C. How complicated is this? So, anyway, I'm looking at the time. We've been talking for about an hour and 15 minutes. I want to thank you guys all for hanging out with me for a little bit. And hopefully the time we spent today was beneficial for you. I'm hoping that at least once a week that I can do some of these Facebook chats to kind of talk to you guys and answer a lot of the questions that I get through social media that unfortunately I'm super busy, so I don't always have the time. Even though you see me on Facebook, and it might seem like I'm just goofing off, I'm working. So I can't always respond back quickly, but I'm taking mental note of the really good questions, and hopefully for future, whether they be Adorama TV episodes or something else, I'll make sure that I try to address, answers in those future videos. What's next for me tonight? It's gonna be dinner and bed. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. It took 3 hours on the train to get here, and then another like 45 minutes on an Uber to get to the hotel. So I'm pretty whooped. I got to recharge the old batteries. Get ready to do some work tomorrow. which you guys should see very soon. I'm super excited for what I'm doing tomorrow. It's going to be a photography tutorial related thing, and it's going to be pretty awesome. So I see Manuel, good deal, thank you. What's your Instagram? So if you're not following me on Instagram, at Miguel Quiles Photography. So MIGUELQUILES Photography. You'll probably notice if you follow me on Instagram, I post a lot of images that are different than what I post on Facebook. So if you really want to keep up with my actual work, I would tell you follow me on Instagram, because I usually do a pretty good job of posting my newer images through there. The other thing as well, I actually have a group on Facebook, and I would tell you join today, because I'm probably going to change the name of it very soon, but it's Sony Alpha Tips. So Sony Alpha Tips, if you search it on Facebook, I have a group there. We're almost at 1,000 members, and I'm looking to blow it up pretty soon. It's a great community, a lot of really good photographers. Even though it says Sony Alpha Tips, if you shoot other systems, I'm going to tell you still join in, because pretty soon it's not going to be a Sony only community, but it's still going to have that type of a slant, because that's the system that I shoot with. So Sony Alpha Tips, make sure you join. At Miguel Quiles Photography on Instagram, Miguel Quiles NYC on Twitter, and yeah, that's most of my social media. Patrick, thanks for sharing your thoughts and insight. My pleasure. Thank you for tuning in. Let's see, Amber, are you on Snapchat? No, not really. I don't do the Snapchat thing. I figure the Facebook thing is kind of like Snapchat-ish, a little longer, and I can actually interact with people. So yeah, maybe one day I'll do the Snapchat thing. Lissandro, you leave Sony. No, I didn't leave Sony. I'm all Sony all the time. I just think as far as the group, I want to be a little more inclusive of other photographers, because at the end of the day, it's all about great images, and it's all about improving and getting better. And so if you shoot Sony, great. There's a lot of amazing Sony shooters there, a lot of Sony artisans, a lot of other people that love shooting Sony. But there's also a lot of other people in there that shoot Canon and Nikon and other brands as well, that collectively we can gain knowledge and get better in our art and our craft, regardless of what brand we shoot. So yeah, so it may, I don't want to give too many details because I haven't decided yet, but for the time being, it's Sony Alpha Tips. But it's probably going to be, and actually I'll tell you guys, I'm thinking about actually doing a group, because I have this Adorama TV, which, by the way, if you have not seen Adorama TV, I have a show called The Breakdown. And so what I'm thinking about doing is changing the group from Sony Alpha Tips to The Breakdown with Miguel Quiles, and making it a Facebook community based around that whole concept about just learning lighting and learning different techniques and things of that nature. So I'll give you guys a little sneak peek into my thought process. But I figured that would be cool, because if I'm doing these videos for Adorama, we can kind of continue the conversation after the videos inside of the community, and also collectively gain knowledge throughout the community. So Robert says, interested in an Indra 500, have noticed the color casting that some people have been writing about. It's really funny. I read about that in the very beginning, that there was some kind of color issue or something. I have actually 2 Photox Indra 500s, and I'm getting ready to buy the, I think it's the 360, it's the orange one. I've shot for over a year and a half with both lights, and I don't know what people are talking about. My color is fine. So if you see my images, you'll see 99% of the time I'm using my Photox Indra 500s. And then that 1% of the time is I have other strobes that I'll use as backlights or kickers or stuff like that, because I only have the 2 right now. And if I have like a 3 or 4 or 5 light setup, I just use whatever I have. But my main lights are always my Indra 500s, and I haven't noticed this color casting that people are talking about. A lot of people like to hate on things for random reasons. I don't know why. Maybe some people are seeing that, but I shoot all the time with them and I don't see it. Let's see. Hannah says, we should see you breakdancing as well. Yeah, one of these days I'm going to do a spoof video. I got to wait for a little while. I'm only 8 episodes deep into this Adorama thing. So I may end up doing a breakdown one day. And I'm a terrible dancer, so it'll be very fun to watch. Andrew, I would love to meet you one day, Miguel. Maybe WPPI 2017. Why not Photo Plus 2016? Because I am going to be there. But if not, I will be at WPPI 2017 as well. Anyway, again, thank you guys all so much for joining me tonight. Again, whatever it is that you guys do, attack it relentlessly. Use each day to try to get you closer to where you want to be in life. If you spent today just kind of goofing around and just doing nothing, chalk that one up and start tomorrow with a different attitude and a different mindset, and just get out there. And if you want to be the best photographer out there, get out there and work really hard for it. If you want to be a great retoucher, get out there and work really, really hard. Learn, buy books, get tutorials, intern, do what you got to do to get out there and to live your dream. Because honestly, like, I'm sitting here and like I'm living my dream. I'm here doing what I love. I get to travel. I get to create content that honestly, to be very honest with you guys, I'm creating the content that I wanted to see when I started as a photographer. When I started shooting professionally in 2012, the tutorials and the content that I'm putting out now is the stuff that I wish I had when I started out. I wanted to learn and I wanted this information, and for the longest time it was very hard to get and it was out of reach. So I'm doing what I love, and I want to encourage you guys as well to do what you love, and whatever that is, if it's photography, if it's something else, just whatever it is, man, just pardon my French, but just kick ass, make it happen. So again, thank you all so much for watching. This is going to be recorded, so you guys can rewatch it afterwards. We talked about a lot of stuff, but I just want to thank you guys all for tuning in. I am going to sign out, get some rest, because I have a long day of work tomorrow here in Washington, D.C. So I will catch you guys later on. Have a good night.